I think I've kind of figured out what I want my pre-fall season knitting and crochet to look like. I do have a project that I need to frog first though, but today I thought we would sit down and talk about the WIPs I'm really going to be focusing on for the next couple of months. We're going to frog this bad boy, and I'm going to tell you why I'm letting it go. And then we're going to talk about some yarn that I want to reclaim from a previous project and what kind of new life I want to bring to it. And then we're going to talk about this project that I've just been infatuated with and that I'm dying to cast on. I've done some planning for it, so I can't wait to share that with you. So grab your cup of whatever, grab your project, and let's go get chatty about some yarn. I mean by this shawl that we're going to be frogging. This is a great example of what I'm talking about and what I've been talking about through this stash down season of just letting things go. Let's talk about this project. This is some great, gorgeous yarn. Look at that. 3 Irish girls. We have some Cascade Heritage Sock and Plum. We have some Madelinetosh, and I think it's Celadon, and then I don't remember this Madelinetosh, but I know it's a Madelinetosh, but it's kind of got some pretty colors in it. This is my Effloresce shawl, and well, I guess it's really not a shawl. This was a knit along that I cast on in 2024, February, with Knitting Moonbeams, who is Gina, who is a dear friend of mine, and another channel who is Judy's Creations and Crochet. And I wanted to support both of them and their channels by joining this make along. There's a knitting pattern and a crochet pattern for this. I chose the knitting, obviously, and we were all working on them together. So when I started this, I just pulled yarn from my stash because I didn't want to go buy yarn. So I think, in all reality, these yarns do look nice together. I thought were going to work well and kind of do like this little bit of a gradient from that blue to the darker purple. That's kind of what I was going for. I really didn't sit down and think about my color choices and how intentional they were and how much of a contrast this darker purple was than this lighter purple, which I probably still could have made it work, but they're two different hues, and it just wasn't well thought out. I kind of had this mentality that, you know what, I'm gonna make it work. How many times have we said that? How many times have you said that? I know I've said that several times, and a lot of times when I say that, it works out. It's cute. I love it. And then other times, it does not, and I don't love it. And I think that's something that we tend to do as creators. And to be honest, it's more of a wrap than a shawl. It's kind of like a wider scarf. And just, I really don't wear these kind of things. I have knit a couple, like the Hitchhiker back in the day, which I do love. But typically, I'm not a scarf wearer. I'm more of a shawl wearer in the winter and the fall. And I think that's something I've been really realizing through this stash down and even this newer stash smash adventure. The first of the year when we did stash down here on my channel, we really went through our WIPs and I was able to pull out some and I was able to let some go. But this thing I just kind of had, and I'm like, you know what? I really want to finish it because, again, I have emotions tied to Gina, and we have a friendship, and so working on it makes me think of Gina. And even though it doesn't bring me that much joy, I was going to give it a try. But I put it on the bag tree and it sat there in Area 51, forgotten in its little secret hiding place, and it never got touched. I cast it on because I was excited. I know that. I know that now looking back in retrospect. And I find myself, when I look back, joining make-alongs because of the excitement that is involved around them. There is this sense of community around make-alongs. And I think as humans, we tend to get pulled to that, or we feel like we should be pulled to that. We feel like we need to be part of this community. And so it does kind of pull us to do something maybe that we really don't want to do. And it kind of goes with the same with, I think, trending patterns like on Ravelry's top 25. I used to find myself wanting to make the trendy whatever, but I'm not a trendy kind of gal. And with age and with like this whole stash down and looking at WIPs and really trying to be more intentional, the more and more I do this, the more and more that becomes clear to me. Because I have not one, but I have two Westnitz fall make-alongs on this bag tree that I started because of the excitement around the make-alongs. And they just sat there, forgotten, hoping that one day I would pick one of them up and work on them. And the crazy thing is I love that about make-alongs. I think that's one of the best things about make-alongs is that feeling and that sense of community. I think it's very important. I don't look down on that in any way. I love the excitement of starting something new. And with the Westnitz knit-alongs, I love the excitement of learning something because you always learn with those. And so I do think they're great in their own right. But I think it's something that we do need to be more intentional when we find ourselves wanting to join a make along, like why we're joining a make along, especially if it involves buying new stash, if you are wanting to break free of the overconsumption or the continuous buying of yarn and buying of things. Because 6 months down the road, for pretty much both of those and several other make-alongs that I've joined, you get to that point where you're at the, okay, do I really want to make this? Or is there something else trying to grab my attention? And if it is, then that project that you had all this thrill and chills about is no longer giving that to you. And so we have our scroll moments and we go to the new thing. And I don't want to be someone who keeps projects because I started them. I want to be someone who keeps projects and finishes projects because I love them. And those are two different crafters, let me tell you. I used to be the other one. I used to be someone who would start a project and I feel like I just had to see it through, but I'm no longer that person. I'm no longer tied or tying myself to those things that I just don't want to be or want to make. Because I find myself asking the question of why? Why am I allowing myself to be spending valuable, precious time that I have here on this earth making something that does not bring me joy? And that's the whole purpose of making and creation is creating things that bring us joy. So today we are getting rid of one of those. And it's okay. It's okay that I'm letting this go. It's okay that I am reclaiming this yarn to use for something else down the road. Yes, I have cut the yarn when I did all these, but that's okay. This yarn is not trash by any means. This is a future Christmas tree ornament or part of a gnome or part of another shawl. I mean, I can easily just weave in the ends and knit on. It's not a big deal. I don't have to see this as a failure. I just get to see this as a learning experience and a way to change my thinking so I can be more intentional with my time. I don't want my hobby to become a task list. And I think if we're not careful, that's definitely something that as knitters and crocheters we can definitely do. So I'm not gonna. And I hope you don't do that either. I hope you let yourself be free of projects that no longer bring you joy. So now that that's done and kind of lifted off my to-do list, let's talk about the WIPs that I do want to carry into this pre-fall season. Number one being the socks. And I did talk about these in that last podcast. I did get one of them off the needles. This is some Lion brand lemon drops sockies. I'm just making some kind of shorty socks because that just seems to be my jam. And I have progress keepers here to kind of know where I stopped my toe and other tidbits as far as my heel, how long, how many stitches, because I didn't write any of that down. So I like to use progress keepers just so I can go back and count those stitches later on to make my socks match. I probably should write that stuff down, but it is what it is. But I did go ahead and start my second sock last night without power. I didn't get much done because we had no power, and so I was knitting by candlelight. I think I lost a needle somewhere. I realize I'm missing one of my needles. I have two sets of these Knit Pro zines in the size. What size is this? Is this like a 1? It is a 2.25. And I should have 10 of them. I only have 9 of them. I don't know where the other one is. So it could be somewhere in my bed, which is a whole scary thought to think of, or my chair in the house could have ate it. I don't know. So I have to find that. But you can see the itty bitty beginnings of a toe happening. It's lovely. And I want to finish these. I do enjoy knitting on these on the go. These are great for in between church service or while I'm waiting for Sunday school to start. I'm teaching again this week, so I like to be there a little bit early, and so I can knit on those in the joined youth room while I'm waiting on the kids to come in. So I will be working on that. I'm also going to be working on my Mary trees. You can kind of see some of them over here. I started kind of putting them on my garland. Let me see if I can show you what that's going to look like without making a ginormous mess. Probably not. I was toying around with how I want to put them on the garland. I think I'm going to put them kind of staggered, or not really, just not intentionally pay attention to the lengths of them. I'm going to go back and put some on the middle. I'm just trying to get an idea of how many of these little trees I need to knit to fill up 2 garlands. So that's something that I'm definitely. Is this the needle that I was missing? Surely not, because I just fell out of my bag. That's funny. Who knows? Or no, I'm still missing one. That was just a coincidence. We'll just leave that part in because that's real life, y'all. I do want to work on my Mary trees and make some more and get the garland up. That's a goal. I may not focus on any mini socks this quarter because I kind of want to do that more in Christmas, but there's my baggie of them. I did complete one. Did I even have it in here? I don't even know where it is. I don't know where it is currently, but I did get one off the needles. I'm not going to sit down and focus on making 40 something trees before Christmas. I just want to be able to have that project. So, like, if I need a quick adrenaline rush of getting a finished object, then I can knit a mini tree and get that little dopamine hit of joy. Because I think that sometimes having those projects that we can easily grab and complete so we can get that is very important for us and our mental health. Sometimes we just need a win. So this is my Geogradient shawl. This was a West Knits mystery knit along in 2023 that I was just giddy to join, and that I had all this joyness about this make along, the community in it, and just overall, like, love my yarn. I had no idea about the pattern, but I always love West Knits patterns, so I was pretty pumped up about it, okay? And there's several videos about this on my channel. You can watch them if you want to. And we looked at this project when we did the Stash Down series here on the channel. And in this video, I talked about a lot of the stuff that was happening with this make along, and we took it apart. And it felt good to take that apart, I have to say. Like, it felt really good. Now, if you are a new knitter, or maybe you're not a knitter at all, then you may not know what the Geogradient is and like why this knit along caused such a fuss in my life. Well, let me show you my yarn that I chose for this. This is some Miss Babs gradient. She made that yarn specifically, or dyed the yarn specifically for this knit along. She always does different color combinations, and I got that one. And then I bought this one as well to go with it, this deep plum, because I just thought it worked beautifully. And what this make along is every year around my birthday, it always works out perfectly, Stephen West does this mystery knit along. And I've done several in the past, and I use these as a way to break free of my comfort zone when it comes to colors. These are in my comfort zone, they're neutrals somewhat, but typically I go like crazy with some neons, like this one, the Shawography. And I love that thing. I wear it all the time. There's always this sense of excitement with these knit alongs with him because he's such a amazing designer that he really has all these different details in his patterns, and there's always a really cool construction, and you always learn something. Like, I don't think I've ever done a West Knits pattern and never learned anything. And I encourage new knitters to join these knit alongs because you're going to learn something, and once you start knitting it, you realize it's not as hard as you think it would be to knit that. So I do love his makes. But every week you would get a part of the pattern and you knit that, but you don't know what the finished object's going to look like. You don't know what the next week's going to look like. So you kind of have to pick your colors to go in certain areas off of the clues that he gives you. And that's kind of hard to let go of that control, but it's also very empowering and very fun. So in 2023, when this make along started and the first clue came out for the Geogradient, I was doing, I think, Vlogtober, and so I have some videos here if you want to check those out. The first video came out. I was so excited to use this yarn. I remember doing the unboxing in the woods because I just love fall so much, and I just really loved the colors that I picked out for this one. I got the first clue and I started making it, and it was a geometric shape that as I was making it, because I'm not the fastest knitter, I thought was I'm like, this is going to be interesting. And then people who knit it faster than I did started getting online and saying it resembled a smoskiska. That's how I'm going to say the word. And so obviously people were not happy about that. And I get it. But at the same time, from my heritage and Mama, it looked like a windmill to me. It really depended on the colors that you were using, I think. Some of them looked very much more smaskaska than the others, and some looked more pinwheel. So I was kind of hoping I was having more of a pinwheel moment. But it really became this controversial thing online. I continued working on the project for a while. Stephen West was amazing. He immediately came up with alternatives. He pulled down the first clue, but the magic of the make along was just gone for me. And there was a little bit of animosity towards other crafters who continued on making it. Like, people were hunting other people down on social media. And it was just not pretty. It was not kind. It was kind of crazy, actually. So straight into Area 51 it went, and it sat there. until the first of the year when we pulled it out and went through project bags in this video. And I realized that it's not something that I wanted to put energy into anymore. I wanted to let that energy go. And so I started frogging it. And now I have this perfectly amazing wound yarn ready to go. Now, unfortunately, though, because there was a lot of pinwheel-esque knitting in the beginning, I did get done with clue 1. I have a lot of bobbins of little pieces of thread. So that's what that is, my little bobbin-esque of them. And so just like that Effloresce shawl, I'm going to use it. It's not wasted yarn. I'm going to use it and we're going to make something new. So for my bringing this to life pattern, I am going to choose another Stephen West shawl because I already own it. And so I'm going to be making the Aurora cabin because I bought it when it came out. I just never cast it on. And these are such fall colors. They're so pretty. I love them so much. That's why I bought them. And I want to use them. So I'm thinking they would be perfect for that shawl. The Aurora Cabin shawl, which looks just like this. And here's something that I think is important to talk about when you are wanting to reclaim projects from a make-along gone wrong, because I think at some point in our life we've all been there. We've all done make-alongs that we were giddy about, and then like that was just gone, and then we're just left with this project that makes us not happy. And that is with the new project, I'm not going to have a deadline. I'm not going to be stressed out about trying to get it done each part or each section in a certain time frame. I just want to enjoy the knitting itself. I just want to enjoy the yarn and the experience of fall while knitting this project. And it's called the cabin shawl. I mean, it's perfect. It's just going to be this perfect mental knit along, I think. And this thing looks pretty fun. There's going to be a lot of like stitch changes and pattern changes in it, and with the different yarn choices, I think it's going to really give my mind a structured but mental meditative break, and I'm all for that. And I think that's a much better reason for me to cast on something more than just because everyone else is doing it. Because it takes the shift off that desire just to be part of that community and shifts it more to the desire to be creative with what's in front of us and appreciate the color, the design, and the yarn. Now I want to talk about the thing that like has been just really taking up a lot of space in my mind, and that is this gnome. I'm really wanting to allow myself to cast on a gnome, even though I have a lot of other works in progress that I can work on, and I'm going to be starting that Geogradient shawl. I'm hoping my socks don't take me too long so I can really work on the gnome. Typically in the past when I've knit my gnomes, they don't take me very long because I just really enjoy knitting amigurumi gnomes. Like, they just feel a need in my heart and my soul with a little bit of whimsy and a little bit of excitement, and I just zoom right through them. So I do want to do color work on this gnome. So I am going to be using the Doodle directory and some of my Doodle cards, specifically the Rhinebeck card set and then some of the fall that I have in this book. So I'm thinking for my gnome, I kind of want it to probably gonna, I'm either gonna, well, let's see, no. There's two patterns. I have one that I haven't created yet, this pattern, and then I have several other patterns of hers. When I made this last Colorwork gnome, it was the last one I made and I talked about in the last video. But since I talked about that video, when I sat out here, I look up and that's all I see. Like, it's literally across from me and it's on that shelf right there staring at me every time I'm sitting here. And it's like, hey, you need another one. And I love that I have them up there because they're so cute to look at. And I think I do want to make another one of those. I think I want to use that exact pattern actually and just modify it a little bit to use different color work from the Pacific Knit Co. collection. And I'm not affiliated with them at all. Like I said, I joined the Doodle Club, and so I got my doodles for this month. They're pretty cute. There's a couple of pets. So I might find something fun to do with one of those. Before this gnome, I've already picked out yarn. I went stash shopping in my stash to use what I have, and I found some leftover bits and bobs that I think are going to be fun, and I want to show those to you. So this is the first color that I saw. It's kind of bright, but it's a Malintosh, I think, possibly, I don't know. It was gifted to me, but it's greens and it's got like these bits of oranges in it. This is gonna be the body of my gnome, like the background body of the gnome. And then for the background hat of the gnome, I chose this brown. I think this is some Madelinetosh chocolate or something like that. It was also gifted to me a long time ago, and it's just, I've been using bits and bobs for different projects, but there's gonna be plenty to use for the background of the hat. I'm thinking this is gonna be my motif in my hat, and I'm going to talk about that motif in a second. I think it's going to be a nice contrast, and it's going to be a good contrast to the body. And then for the beard, I found this little bit of lighter brown to use. I think that would be a cute little fall beard. For the most part, all the gnomes I have all have different color beards. There's only one that has a white beard, but there's one that has like an orangish and white beard, one that's got a green beard, one that doesn't even have a beard. So, and one that has a bright orange beard. Two that don't have beards. So I think having a little beard in this color, and maybe I'll pull in another color to go with it, maybe a cream. And then I have this that I can use for a pop of whatever. It's kind of getting blown out. Hang on, there we go. It's a little bit of an orange peachy color. It's kind of a contrast, and I like that it's kind of a contrast. It's kind of like a very, there's a little bit of the color in this. You can kind of see. So it kind of like, it's just a little bit darker shade of it, but I think it might be a good contrast color. And then again, I may pull out a more of an orange. Scratch that in it. We're not going to use this anymore. I found these three little bits of bobs I have. I think they would work much better. So this, these bits and bobs are gonna what's gonna make up my gnome. So let me get all of the bits and bobs together so you can see what I'm thinking. There we go. I think that is gonna be a fun little gnome. And it's very fall. And I think that's gonna make my heart happy. He's gonna be a much darker gnome than all the other gnomes. The gnomes I've knit in the past are all much lighter, but I think he's gonna be fun to actually work on some fall colors. So I'm very, very, very excited about him. Now let me show you the motifs. So for the main hat, I'm either gonna use this motif 14 leaf, because I think the angle would be really cute going up the hat, or I may use this leaf number 15 for the hat. I'm probably going to do like some kind of border at the bottom of it though. I got to figure up the math on how many stitches tall it needs to be. But this has several cute little things. I thought about doing this acorn maybe on the bottom of him, and then right above the acorns doing like something like this leaf motif also. I don't know. And that's one of those things that once I just start knitting him, I think it's gonna come to me. But I think it's gonna be fun. I thought about all the different gnomes I can make with this book. And then that might be something that I do. You know, I might try to make like a seasonal or quarter gnome and use different colorwork motifs to bring it all together and just kind of fill my whole area with little gnomes everywhere to go with the little mini trees and the mini stockings. That could be kind of cute. I do love making stuffies. So if you look around my shed, you will see a lot of them that I've knit or crocheted over the years, and they just bring me joy. So as far as what I want to focus on crocheting, I do want to finish up my little tulip flower guy, whatever he's called. I don't know, marigold, I don't know. I do want to finish him up. I'm done with the body. I'm working on the arms and the legs, and then I just have to do the head. So he's going to be something that I'm going to be getting off my hooks this couple of months. And then if I have time, I'm going to slowly be working on Annie. Let me grab Annie. So Annie is living in this project bag that I sewed up a long time ago. Just zip the yarn up in it. No. Oh, Annie. Okay. Annie is a poncho that I'm making. This is my swatch for it. It's out of Poma Tweed, which is a Lands de Nord yarn. I haven't really worked on this much. There you go. I haven't really touched it really since we last talked, but I do want this. I do want this wearable because it's super, super soft, and I think it would just be perfect for fall weather. This is all that I have done. This is all the panel that I have. So I'm supposed to be making a rectangle, and then I will pick up the stitches and kind of do like a neck on it. This is it. I don't even know if it's going to be. Like, according to the pattern, it's supposed to be big enough. I mean, it's a poncho. It's to wear over something, so it's so pretty though. So I need to get my tail in gear and get that done. That's something that I'm going to be also working on here and there. The problem is it's getting kind of bigger, so it doesn't travel well. And it's just been so warm that I just have not want to touch it. So maybe if we get like a random winter vortex that some of you are experiencing, then maybe I'll be more inclined to work on that. Right now, it's just not happening. But it's a project that I still wanna make. I still have joy in it. I really love the yarn. I'm excited about the pattern. I am a little bit, reserved about it because I haven't really crocheted any wearables except for, like, this poncho, but that's just a me thing. Like, that's just own self-doubt that I am projecting in a project, and that's something that I personally have to overcome, and so I'm working my way to do that. Because instead of looking at it and thinking like, okay, it's another WIP I have to do. It is a WIP that I have to do, but it's one that I'm looking at and thinking, okay, I do want to crochet this and I do want to wear this. So I do want to give it the attention and love it needs so it can grow up to be the poncho that it's supposed to be. And that's been this big distinction for me throughout these first couple quarters of the year and this whole stash down process. And I think that's a good thing. That's a good lesson to learn, even though I'm learning it at 46. I should have learned it years ago. But that's kind of what I want to start with my quarter 3 projects and what I would like to see get worked on. And so I'm very, very excited for that. And I hope you stick around to see how it goes.